All right. So much stuff to cover. And I have a bad problem with rambling as it is. So let me try to sum up. I was the first one to test yesterday. I passed. I told you about that stuff. I'm not going to retell the alley doc or any of that stuff. You can look at the previous video on how I did on my test. So when I got to school this morning, I get there like 30-45 minutes early every day. And one of the instructors gets there earlier than me to open up all the gates. So I went over and chatted with him. He's Russ, the one that was with us at the CDL school that drove the truck there, sat with the truck all day, and then drove it back to the school afterward. So I asked him how everybody else did. I'm going to give you the short version. I'm not going to go into great detail. Tremaine went after me. He pulled the, I believe, it was the parallel. I think it was the passenger side parallel. So awesome. He knocks out the parallels. That's probably his. If he was going to pull a random, anything but the alley dock, he should be able to get. So it's one of the two parallels or the alley dock. I got the alley dock. Everyone after me got the parallels. So Tremaine got passenger, and I think Adam also got passenger. Both of them basically had the same thing. Not exactly the same, but both of them screwed up on one part of the maneuver. Tremaine, what he did was on his second, like the first part of the maneuver is getting at an angle. The second part of the maneuver is swinging the tractor trailer in. Well, I guess that would be the third part. The first part of the maneuver is getting at an angle. Second part of the maneuver is backing up to a certain point, and then the third part of the maneuver is, changing your angle back in and straightening out into the spot. So where Tremaine screwed up at was, I think he did the backing part. So he did the first where he gets at an angle, then he backed up where he was supposed to, and then instead of going like this to park into the spot, he turned the wrong direction and basically went the complete opposite way. And he was supposed to be parked this way, and he was parked this way. And he just, as soon as, Tremaine and Adam don't have previous driving experience, and they've just been taught these formulas to doing these specific skills on the test. So once something goes wrong, they don't really know how to fix it. So I heard that it got comical after each one of them got out of position. Well, the way Adam got out of position was, so he did the first part right, the angle, but he forgot to back up. And he started doing the second maneuver while he was still way away from the spot. And he got like that, and he was way out away from the spot. And they said that, Tremaine ended up in another one of the skill maneuvers. He ended up over in the alley dock area. It apparently got real crazy. Neither of them really know how to correct issues. They know the formula, and as long as nothing goes wrong, they can do the parallel parking. Neither of them are incredibly good at the alley dock. Adam's actually decent at the alley dock, but he has problems on it still. I don't know. He's decent at it. Occasionally, if things don't go quite right, he can end up way off somewhere else. But I heard that they basically got into these. They messed up on one specific part of it, probably because of the high stress environment. This is test day and all that stuff, and they've been knocking out parallels for several weeks easily. And then all of a sudden on test day, they forgot to do a step properly, and it put them in a position where they didn't know how to correct it. And I heard that they were just I heard it got real bad. They ended up truck facing the wrong direction, ended up in a different test area, all kinds of craziness. But that's where they stopped. Keith passed. First of all four of us passed all of our inspections. Awesome. The second part of the testing is the skill tests. And everybody passed their straight backing and their offsets. And then you get a random skill test, which is either parallel or alley dock. I passed the whole thing, previous video on that. Uh, Tremaine and Adam failed on their random, which was the parallel. Keith passed all of his skills. He got the driver's side parallel, and then because of the delayed start, DPS normally opens at 8 a.m. for testing. It opened at 10 a.m. due to bad weather. They didn't have enough time for Keith to do his road test that day. So he has to go back Tuesday to do his road test. But he passed everything, and he did it perfect. No issues at all. No point loss on anything. So I basically went in today, and this morning we finalized a ton of paperwork, turned in all of our assignments, just got all of our paperwork for the school in order, tore out all of our white pages from our logbook, turned in everything. And then the three of them went out onto the truck, and I was told that I could basically leave. And for the day, I was done. But I needed my certificate. The USA truck recruiter said that she needs my certificate from the school, this thing, before she can finalize my application and schedule me a rental car for Sunday. So the two people that sign it is the director of training, Gary, which he was there, and then the president of the company, which is also the owner, Darren. Darren was not there. So they all left probably about 8:30, somewhere between 8:30 and 9 a.m., and they got onto a truck and took off. And they said that they're not going to do inspections for the rest of their training because everyone's passed inspections, so they're just going to do road and backing, which is really awesome. It frees up a lot of extra time in the day because we would typically do it, a couple of hours in the morning pre-tripping, doing various inspections and stuff. So they're going to be able to spend that time driving and backing. But it was probably around 10 a.m. that Darren showed up, signed my paper, and I left. And I scanned the certificate and sent it to the recruiter, Joan. And I've just been getting flooded with emails from all of the background checks that they're doing. Oh my goodness. Like, tons and tons of background check stuff. Crazy. Like, they're coming up with stuff that's way beyond 10 years old on things, on my background, and I'm like, come on, man. Why are you going that far back? Like, they're pulling up the old trucking companies I drove for back in the early 2000s. I'm like, why are you wanting, consent to contact them to get information? I don't think you can legally do that. Like, it's over 10 years old. You're not supposed to verify work history beyond 10 years. It's just not the way things work. Now, if they want to give me credit for driving and pay me experience, let me skip training, not hire me as a student driver, hire me as a veteran and give me credit for those years of driving that I did back then. Hey, yeah, let me go ahead and sign that consent. You can contact Swift, and you can contact XPO, and you can contact that other small company that I drove for, the OTR company that I did Has Waste. Verify all of my driving history and then pay me for it. But no. Any driving history that's basically over about 3 years old, or is it 10 years, is doesn't really count for anything. So I don't know why in the world. I think it's just the background investigation companies. I don't know how in the world they came up with my old employers from 15 years ago like that, but they did, and they wanted consent forms to be able to contact them, and I said no. You want employment history for the last 10 years. I've worked at the same company for the last 12 years. You don't need to go back further than that. But yeah, I was just surprised at how the background investigation is crazy. Tons, and I think I had to put a checkbox on 20 or 30 different consent forms that they wanted consent on, and luckily it had a digital signature thing that I could do. But my goodness, the investigations that they do are crazy. And there was I want to say at least 2 or 3 different companies that were doing investigations for USA Truck on it. But it's nice to know that the investigations have already been done. Gary at the CDL School told me he was called this morning to verify the CDL School stuff. So I've heard horror stories, mainly from Prime, about people applying for Prime and then going to orientation and then getting rejected in orientation for something they found on their their application. They basically don't check the applications at Prime until you're at orientation. They don't do a background check or anything until you're actually at orientation. This at least tells me that USA Truck is doing all the background checks and application verification before you make it to orientation, so you don't get to orientation and then get canned and have to find your own way home. So I guess that's a good thing. But so the point I'm at today is Joan scheduled me a rental car that goes airport to airport. So I have to go to Will Rogers International Airport here in Oklahoma City to pick up an Enterprise rent-a-car, and then I have to drive it to the Fort Smith Regional Airport, FSM. I don't know what the M stands for. Fort Smith Metropolitan, maybe? I don't know. But that's the acronym for it, is FSM. I'm scheduled to pick up the car 1 p.m. Sunday. It's approximately a 3 to 3.5 hour drive to Van Buren. So I probably want to 4 to 5 hours is probably what I want to plan from the time I leave until the time I'm going to be at the hotel. 4 to 5 hours, because I need to fuel up the car. I'm going to go to the hotel first, drop off all of my stuff there, then drive to the airport. Then I have to call a cab service that they have some kind of contract set up with. It's called Razorback Cab, and just tell them I'm with USA Truck and I need to go to the Quality Inn, and they'll know what I'm talking about and take me there. But I might have to wait around for 15, 20, 30 minutes for the cab to arrive, and then the travel there and back and forth and all that stuff. I'm guesstimating a total from the time I walk out my door until the time I'm in the hotel ready to go to sleep is going to be about 4 to 5 hours. So if I go down and pick up the car at 1, come back up to my house, pack it up, and leave by 2:30, then 5 hours from then should be 7:30. That should give me enough time to wind down and get to sleep. I need to get up by about 5 a.m., so that it takes me approximately an hour to get ready. And the shuttle is going to be there at 6:30 to pick us up. Now, they have food there for you to eat, but it says on their orientation checklist that your first day of orientation, you're going to do a drug test and a physical in that morning. So I don't want to go and eat a huge breakfast. Before you do, and it says that they check for, it says to be careful what you eat, because they're going to be checking glucose, and they're going to be checking, or basically your sugar levels, your glucose, and your blood pressure. So if you're doing a glucose or blood pressure test, I think you're supposed to fast for a minimum of 12 to 24 hours. So I'm going to fast before I do this stuff, because I don't want to get in there and, gorge myself on a huge breakfast, and then all of a sudden I got to go do a urine test and a physical, and they come back and my results are all over the place, and they're like, yeah, you're gonna have to wait till tomorrow. And if the results are bad, then it could delay my start time to get into a truck. So I'm gonna do it by the book and do a fast beforehand, and I'm gonna make sure that I don't use the bathroom when I wake up Monday morning. Because if I use the bathroom when I wake up Monday morning, then it's going to take 5 or 6 hours before I'm ready to go again. So if they're wanting some kind of results at 8 a.m., and there's a 2-hour limit on a drug test. So if the company puts me in there for a drug test, I only have a 2-hour window to produce. And if you can't then I think it's called failure to produce. And it's almost like, I don't know, I think it's close to as bad as failing a drug test. It's really bad. So it's good to know that information beforehand. So I know to fast overnight, Sunday night, and then I know to not use the bathroom when I wake up Monday morning. I just hope I don't have to go really, really bad Monday morning. we're gonna roll up to the orientation. I'm gonna be like, "Where's that drug test at? Give me a couple of cups." Yeah, I think I'll have to plan it to where I use the bathroom. I mean, I'm getting old. You know, when I was a kid, I could hold it all day long. Now that I've gotten old, it just kind of like, I don't get a whole lot of warning, and when I do get that warning, I don't have a whole lot of time. So yeah, I have to make plans for stuff like that in advance. So I'll have to be sure to use the bathroom before I go to bed Sunday night, and then drink a glass of water before I go to bed, so that, you know, I'm ready to go Monday morning at some point without having to go. Oh, but I started putting together a list of things that I need to do, or not to do, but to pack. I need to go do that stuff right now. Like this video, I'm at the point right now where I'm just rambling because I don't want to go do all the stuff I need to do, and I have a ton of stuff that I need to do. One of the things I need to do is wash my car. It has salt and all kinds of stuff on it from driving on the roads. We just had snow and stuff here in Oklahoma City. But my car is basically white. It's a black car, but it's white right now from all of the crap that's on it. And I don't want to leave it for a long period of time with that on there. It could, I'm sure it's slightly acidic, and if I leave it on for very long, it could potentially damage the paint. But I need to wash my car. I kind of want to hand wash it because I haven't hand washed it in a long time, so I'm just going to back it up in the driveway and hand wash it in the driveway. And I probably need to do weed and feed, but I need to check the weather. All right, I need to go do all this stuff. I'm going to stop the video right now, and I got all day Saturday and what's remaining of today, so a day and a half basically to get ready to take off to orientation and be on a truck for an extended period of time. So I need to get on that. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the video now so that otherwise I'm just going to keep talking and talking to avoid doing anything because I'm a procrastinator like that. But all right, thanks for watching. Have a good one.